Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vase. We got the Thailand gang back together for this one, as I'm joined by Venzen and Willy Woo. And part of the actual inspiration to do this event in Bali, since Venzen and myself got together like over a year ago now, a year and a half. And then for the next two trips to Asia, was joined by Willy Woo. And now we're trying to make an event out of this and open it up to the public. That's the Financial Summit in Bali. We'll talk more about that later. But hey, guys, welcome back to the show. And it's great to get your take on the markets.
Hey there, Tone. Hey, Willy. We didn't speak pre-show. How are you doing?
No, good. Good to see you again. It feels like the old gang back again. I've been really looking forward to catching up with you guys on the show.
Yeah, no, this should be a great show. We're going to go straight to screen share. Just going to introduce you guys real quick. It's been a little while since you guys have been on the show. And Willy, I constantly have your chart open of the Bitcoin NVT signal. We're also going to talk about an article that you wrote recently about the difficulty ribbons. So that's going to be another one we're going to cover. And of course, Venzen, and you have your week-long trading bootcamp in Thailand that you recently kicked off. So let's just briefly, find out what's going on with you guys. Willy, what have you been up to? I know you're doing more research. Recent article came out in August. Tell us what you're up to these days.
Yeah, I'm kind of juggling three projects right now. One being Level, of course, the new regulated exchange in the US. Bit of work on that. Been doing obviously some research. A lot of this is spinning out of some collaboration we do in-house in Adaptive Fund. That one in particular was something that we're bouncing ideas around, and it was like, well, this one seems pretty obvious, and might as well share that one publicly. What else? Oh yeah, I'm working on a third project, which is Hypersheet, which is not a crypto project, but I've got on my profile on Twitter. I'll talk about it one day, but that's getting exciting.
Happy to have you on the show again to discuss your other project. You mentioned the Level, LVL. This is an exchange you are a part of where you pay a single $9 a month subscription fee, and you have unlimited free trading off of $9 a month. Hey guys, I do have a referral link to LVL in the video description and on tonevase.com affiliates. So if this is something that interests you, please support by clicking the links. Willy, of course, has one of his own as well. Feel free to use his link as well. It's whoever's work you like to support. All right, let's get an intro from Venzen, and then we'll get into maybe fundamentals first, then technicals. Venzen, so this is your original site, trade.cryptocurrency.net. I'm not sure if you've been publishing many articles recently, but you're still publishing your trades.
Hey, yeah, this is the subscription website, and it's active. There are members there. I speak with a group every day. We're currently setting up to get into a trade, so we'll discuss that in the technical section, I guess, just now. Most of my work now is focusing on the workshops that I present, and I'm presenting one in 2 weeks' time, or 10 days. Here in Thailand, and I've got a group of 5 traders coming, and it's going to be great. I love doing that kind of personal work, one-to-one, and mentoring people into a method and money management. This website, anyone can check it out. The dates are there. The booking form is there. This is the sort of core of my activity now.
And the first time you and I met in person was actually right here. This is where we stayed, it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's a great time of year to come, and it's not just trading. I get people into a way of re-energizing themselves. They've got to wake up in the morning, meditate. They've got to exercise. They're going to be fasting. and it's everyone who's been in the course really benefited, and they keep reporting to me that they're having less losing trades and their winning trades are running, which is what you want, right?
Yeah, no, exactly it. All right, Willy, so let's start with you. Tell us about the difficulty ribbon. Is this something, does this exist as an indicator on TradingView that I can pull up on my charts, or it's pretty much just inside your website?
Yeah, it's just in the website. If you go to the charts section of the site, I've put up a live chart. And it's on the first column at the bottom left.
Right there, got it.
Bottom left, yeah. Bitcoin difficulty ribbon. Left.
Oh, I got it.
Yep, yeah, you got it. Oh, yeah, cool. All right, yeah. So really, this is kind of the first really minor based indicator I've put on this site, and really, it's just tracking the network difficulty of the Bitcoin mining, right? And what that speaks to is how much competition there is. Obviously, when the price is going up and there's a lot of competition, there's going to be more miners competing. The hash rate goes up. The network difficulty increases to keep the block reward steady. And then there's these particular times when, like particularly in bear seasons, what you see is that there's less and less money being for each coin being mined to cover operational expenses. And what you see is the weakest miners start to suffer. You know, the ones that aren't as efficient, they have to sell off their coin to pay for their operational expenses, more and more so, until they capitulate. At that point, they have to dump all their coins and they're liquidated. Essentially the minor version of a liquidation, a trader liquidation. And so what that leaves is only the strongest. And what you see is the difficulty starts reducing because there's fewer and fewer miners competing for that block reward. And so when that bottoms or flattens out, the difficulty flattens out, it means you've only got the strong miners left, and those guys are strong enough to hold the majority of their mined coins, and you get less sell pressure on the market. And that gives us an indication of where the bottom can form on the market, because there's no one dumping. There's no consistent every 10 minutes of mined coins needing to be sold onto the market. And so you'll see this in the ribbon. The ribbon is really just the difficulty, but by putting simple moving averages across it, it becomes very visible where the areas in which the difficulty drops or doesn't increase much. And you'll see that in the compression of the ribbon. And you'll see that it's compressed at every bottom, accumulation bottom. And you can actually see it compressing in the bear cycles. And so that really, yeah, exactly there. So you starting to compress in the first bear market there. And then as we break into the bull season, it expands again. And the other zone that you look into, like, see the vertical line to the right there? That's halvening. So again, you know, you're mining, and suddenly you get half the coins because the block reward halved. So you've got to make do with half the rewards, and the price hasn't adjusted upwards to account for that so quickly. So again, you get a little bit of a minor capitulation, and you put all those together, and what you get is a very good signal of when the system is primed to expand out, and you get price growth. And so, you know, we were debating where the bottom was, you know, a few months ago, and this ribbon was really saying this is the bottom. It's compressed. You can see that right there, the capitulation of the price. We actually flipped and we went negative in the ribbon. The moving averages went, the fast moving ones went below the longer term ones, and that is a very strong signal that the bottom's been reached. So that's, yeah. So to me, this is extra confirmation that we are in a bull season. A lot of people still think you know, it's less now, but some people will still think we're in a mid bear season rally and it's a B wave and we're going to come back down. But I'm saying, if you look at this ribbon, the miners are capitulated, the miners are holding. We've got another block halving coming up, and you can actually stretch that. If you grab where September 2019 is on that chart and pull it to the left. Bottom right of the, look at the time scale, and then stretch it. Yeah, pull it.
Oh,
pull
I got you.
Right, and you'll get another there. All right. So, and maybe do it to the, yeah, give me more time. Go back to the past as well and pull it the other way. You can see that we've compressed, and then we've got another compression that's going to be coming up in around May next year. And that compression will add more fuel to the bull market. So it's very, very unlikely this price is ever going to come back down below our accumulation bottom. Very unlikely, even the 6K, given this particular setup. So it just speaks to the long-term macro picture.
Let me ask you some basic questions. Oh, somebody was going to say something?
Oh yeah, I'm going to say, this is actually, when I posted this, a few people said, well, the secret's out now, because people were trading on this. It's just that I provided a very nice visual that everyone can digest and get a live chart to.
Yeah, can I quickly ask, Willy, this is great because because you're in my group, you're a guest there, so you know why I like this. This is my kind of indicator. Can I ask you those, it looks like you've got about 7-8 lines there. Where is the data coming from that is being put into a moving average?
Okay, so that is Bitcoin network difficulty. And what I'm doing there is doing a moving average of the daily difficulty. Obviously, it doesn't change daily. I think it resets.
Because it's a one-day chart, right? Yeah,
yeah, but the difficulty resets every, how was it, 144? I forget.
No, I think it's over
it's like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Blocks. I think it's like 2,044 blocks or something.
Okay, yeah, I think it's 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? I can't remember. Someone
it's about 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So really, it would look like step changes. But what I've done here is do a 9-day moving average, a 14-day moving average, 25, and just go up to the 200-day moving average, and that creates this ribbon. And it's a visual aid. It's just a visual aid.
Yeah, it's a visual aid. It's a visual aid. That's what an indicator is so useful for.
So, yeah. So my basic questions are these simple moving averages or using a exponential? And by that notion, like, I'm not really sure how, if the difficulty is changing approximately every 2 weeks, the 9-day moving average, how is that so volatile?
Well, it's first off, it's a simple moving average. We don't need to be fancy here. We're not trying to catch up with price. It's got nothing to do with support resistances on price. Even though if you pull the long range out and scale it, it actually looks like it might be able to use for that. But yeah, like I just set these up. In reality, I probably am gone overkill. I don't need the 9 days. I don't need the 14 days. Probably anything from the 25 days upwards is enough.
Yeah, that was gonna be my other question. How did you choose these like numbers? But looks like you maybe
they're kind of nice numbers. I like 200 day. They're very, you know, these are tried, tested moving averages we use. And like 200, the 128, the 90-day, which is what MVT signal is. And then generally I've tried to keep the spacing the same. So it's a 50% gain from 60 to 90 and roughly that to 128, roughly that to 200. So it creates a nice smooth spacing in the ribbon. Yeah, if you guys really want to geek out on that stuff, but it's not really important what these are as long as they're bigger. And you get this ribbon effect from the short range to the long range. It's just a visual. So yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna take out a screen share for a minute. Ugly joined us as well. I posted the link in our little chat. Wasn't expecting him to join, but thank you, Ugly, for joining us. You're still muted. If you want to say hi, and then we'll go back to Willy and get his thoughts on the MVT ratio. I can unmute you. Let me make your life simple.
Okay, there. Can I be here now?
We got you. How you been, man?
I'm in Vancouver on vacation.
Nice.
Vancouver, British Columbia, getting ready to take the family for a few days on an outing and having I lost my cell phone, so I got to go through that mess. But
oh boy,
I was up early and I decided, you know what? I've never met Willy Woo, and I saw your work on that compression, and you know I have a hard time understanding your work, Willy, but that one I understood right away when I looked at it. I said, wow, that makes sense. It really fits in well with the bases, and yeah, that was a very good visual.
Very good. Hey, did you drive up? Did you drive there from Mexico, or did you fly?
Yeah, we're driving. I bought a big 18 passenger bus, and so the whole family is. Yeah, we went. I went to Yosemite, and we went. I saw some friends, an old college roommate in Washington, and now we're in Vancouver. So we're gonna make the rounds. We're gonna drive through Canada and come back through Yellowstone and back home.
All right, very cool.
Wow,
yeah,
that's an epic drive.
Yeah, you know, I spend too much time in Bitcoin and I ignore my family too much. So that's part of good trading. You know what? You got to have your priorities right.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. I've been through all of those national parks back when I was younger studying geology. So that was a lot of fun. Tetons, Yellowstone, Bryce, and well, not Bryce, but Zion was my favorite. Bryce was really cool too. Hiked the Grand Canyon 3 times in my life already.
All right.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, Willy,
That
let's
used to be on your old website.
let's talk about the MVT ratio real quick. This was the chart we were looking at last time, and it was really, really toppy. And now we're back into the zone. I see you lowered the band a little bit. I wanted you to lower it to 30, and you lowered it to 35. Damn it, Willy.
Yeah, I played around with it. I forget the number you wanted, but like that seemed about right to me. But you know, like MVT's I have 2 minds of it. Like I was going to say, it's a dying signal. I think as far as a solid trade signal, it is dying somewhat. This is because we're now in a different age of Bitcoin.
Oh, can you mind getting a little closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry. Let's get that. Is that better? Yeah. We're in a different age of Bitcoin. So the on-chain analysis stuff, it's getting a little bit sloppy. If you think of we're flying an airplane with cables, and the control surfaces used to be tight. Now the cables are loose, you know. And the reason is because more and more of the actual long-term holding of investment is going to the exchanges, and so we're not seeing the investment flows as accurately. You know, when Mt. Gox got hacked and like 1/8 of all coins got stolen back in the tail end of 2013, it sent the fear of God down everybody, right? We all just said, hold all your coins in your own custody, in your own wallets. You get into the exchanges, you buy your coins and get the hell out, right? And now what we're seeing is more and more of these, the holding going back to the exchanges. I've got a chart for you. Let me post it to our little Telegram channel just to show you.
Yeah, throw me a link if you want me to pull anything up.
Yeah, it's on my local machine, so I'm just gonna let you pull it up on. I could share the screen, but it's probably easier just to throw it across to you.
Either way, you can throw me the image, and I'll just.
There you go. Chuck that up. This goes to show some of the stuff. Right.
So what are we looking at?
So what we're looking at is the Bitcoin, the amount of the Bitcoin supply sitting on exchanges. These aren't all exchanges. This is BitMEX, Binance, Bitfinex, Bitstamp, Bittrex, some of the major ones.
And is that the middle line or the bottom line?
The top one. The bottom one's BitMEX because that's a big gorilla in the room.
That's BitMEX. What is this?
That is all of the ones I just listed: Bitfinex, BitMEX, Binance, Bitstamp, Bittrex.
Oh, okay,
now,
so all the exchanges? This is just Bitmax.
Yeah, all the exchanges with Bit in front of it and Binance.
Okay.
Just joking, but yeah, a lot of the main ones that we use. And if you look on the chart, I think it's tipping above the 4% of the whole Bitcoin supply sitting on those exchanges. We're missing some other key ones, Huobi, some of the other ones that I can't think of right off the top of my head, but I'm going to estimate we're maybe 6% or even higher, maybe even 7% of total supply of Bitcoin sitting on exchanges. Now you can see that really high rise that happened in the 2017 phase when a whole new wave of investors came in,
right?
And they never experienced a Mt. Gox phase, and so what you see is there's a few key takeaways, right? One key takeaway is that some of the MVT signaling is starting to lose its resolution. The other key takeaway is, for me, I can just look at that yellow line, which is the price of Bitcoin, and I don't know if the people that are visually acute can just immediately see it, but I can see that prior to 2017, those moves in Bitcoin prices were organic. They were curvy. They were very organic fractals. And then come 2017, you start to see these straight line moves, very straight line moves. And what I've been saying is this is quant fund dominance, having price control, short-term price control over the asset. And so we're seeing this new phase of Bitcoin trading start to play out since 2017. And right now, a lot of people are going to have a hell of a time trading Bitcoin because there's just so many quant funds, from what I've been seeing, playing with the price. If everyone's short, it's going to be profitable to go long, and it's going to go the other way. And so a lot of the stuff now is much more of a pro-rigged game. Maybe I wouldn't call it rigged. I just play part of the trading game. It's kind of like a team sport, We're all on the field going long or short, and the big guys have a lot of muscle. So anyway, going back to MVT, the signaling side of it, I'm not really using it too much these days. It has signaled a short. It did pull back. We had a 40% pullback, but right now, if you flick to the MVT signal, or even the MVT a bit later, Tone, right? So where is that? Yeah. So you can see the trend going up, and it went into the overbought zone, and then while we pulled back this 40% in the last month or so, we see that that's come back, but we're actually still sitting in a very high band. And if you were to go to the MVT signal is much more short term for trading. If you go to MVT, which can you just go to the MVT chart? This is like the pure ratio. MVT ratio. Yep, the MVT ratio differs from MVT signal in that the ratio is just pure how much is traded on chain, moved on chain, as a ratio of its market cap. And whereas Signal does this sort of 90-day moving average, it does a little bit of this moving average stuff, and it makes it more responsive is ultimately what it does. But this is much more of the purest MVT. And wherever you see it move up, what it means is more of the coins are locked up in long-term hodl, or long-term not on the block, moving on the blockchain. So either you're taking a whole lot of coins, and you're like, if you're in the shitcoin world, you're taking a lot of coins and you're locking it up in masternodes if it's in Dash, and these coins don't move. So what that means is the circulating supply is a much smaller percentage of those coins, and you'll see MVT move up. And like one of the early uses of MVT was to look at as a price earnings ratio, you know, and the higher the ratio, basically the less underlying economic activity for the valuation of the coin. And you would see these crazy MVT ratios of shit coins that would, there's no activity on the blockchain, they're worth heaps. And that's because a whole bunch of guys have bought it up, locked it up, and there's so little that needs to be pushed around to move the price around. And so like that effect is actually happening in Bitcoin, is what I surmise with the MVT ratio. We're seeing a lot of coins being locked up, whether they're sitting in Zapo's Swiss mountain vault, or they're sitting on Binance in their cold storage while people trade the paper notes around it, or the exchange database trades around it. So that has the effect of pushing MVT up. And you'll see that the oscillation doesn't look like it used to be back, you know, it starts deviating around this, you know, 2017 onwards phase. And we're definitely in a bull season right now. And you would expect MVT to drop below that line, but it's not. And this is the reason I'm saying is for it. It's so much has gone off chain now that it's hard to get that trading signal. It's almost like I want to build a channel inside inside the MVT and see it oscillate inside a climbing channel as more of it scooped up. And so I'm not using that as a trading signal now, but it's telling me a lot about the macroscape of what's happening on the network. You know, institutional guys are in. They're storing on Zapo. There's quant funds in. They're moving a lot of funds onto the exchanges and playing exchange games. And we've got a lot of new guys holding their coins on their Coinbase wallet kind of thing.
Oh, that sounds great. You're giving me a lot of confidence that Bitcoin is headed to new all-time highs. But I do have questions on this. So it looks like the amount of Bitcoin entering exchanges has been rising and topped out right at the, you know, at the bottom end of the price at the very end of 2018. And that's been a pretty big exodus. I'm not sure where. So this looks like the price of Bitcoin, and you have two scales here. Actually, yeah, you have two different scales here. So to me, this looks like a good 20% drop in the amount of coins on these exchanges. What does this say to you, and why do you think this is happening, and what does it mean?
You know, what we have, do you see the, you know, if I point to it, like, I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah, you can take over screen share.
Okay, thank you. Let's grab the Zoom. Let's share a screen here. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Sharing my screen. So many screens up. I got to pick the right one.
Yeah, that's why I like doing application share. Kind of.
Yeah, it's like, there you go. I think that's the one there. Let's pick that one. There you go.
All right.
Let me know when you see that.
Yep.
Okay, so right there, we were like, newbies coming in, storing it on exchange, storing on exchange. Okay, bear season. Okay, not so many newbies coming in because it's bear season. They're getting wrecked. It sits at this around the 6,000 band. We're at this sort of equilibrium of like, okay, let's forget about Bitcoin. It's boring, but lots of noobs are sitting on wallets there. Okay. What happens at this point is we have huge volatility. The whole price collapses. So what's happening here is everybody's sending their coins into the exchange to either get the fuck out or trade, because it's now volatile, right? We had months and months of boringness that wasn't worth trading. So obviously this zone here, if you remember it, was very volatile, very good for traders. And so we saw that move up, okay? And that's my explanation of why we got this peak in this, because again, it was trading season. And then what I think's happening here, see this curve? This is the sum of all the exchanges that are listed below: Bitfinex, BitMEX, Binance,
Right.
Bitstamp, so forth. Now this one I pulled out because that's BitMEX, which is huge. I mean, let's look at Binance. Binance is pretty big too. Bitfinex, smaller. I think right here, traders are starting to get a little bit wary of BitMEX. I think is anyone get their BitMEX account saying get out, withdraw your funds because we're going to shut you down because we detected you used an IP address in the US, right? I'm not a US guy.
Right. Yeah, no, I know people are leaving BitMEX, but this makes an assumption that when you get kicked off of BitMEX, you stop trading.
No, this is like BitMEX never did that. Like I traded on BitMEX, and I used to travel to the States. I'd trade on BitMEX. Then suddenly around this time, I'd get this message saying, "Oh, we detected you traded a few weeks ago," and never before had they said that. So what that tells me, it signals to me that they're tightening themselves up because they're getting harassed by the regulatory authorities, or they're expecting that, right? So that I think any savvy trader would go, well, I better protect myself and trade elsewhere. That's just my theory, because we saw the same sorts of thing happen in Bittrex where people were getting accounts locked if they weren't fully doxed, and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's just...
Yeah, BitMEX's competitors are starting to rise very quickly, and you don't have any of those on here. So that could... So the overall trading volume, overall coins on exchanges may not actually be decreasing. It just appears to be decreasing because you don't have all of them on these charts.
That's right. And actually, BitMEX is really falling off there, while the sum is actually still relatively horizontal, doing a expanding cone. Yeah. So.
All right, cool.
Okay,
all right, I was just about to go over to Venzen, but I lost his camera, so I'm not sure if he's still with us. But thanks for that update, Willy. Anything else you want to add before we move on to a little more technical picture with the price?
No, that's it. You guys go for it. I'll stop my screen share.
All right. Ugly, any comments you want to add to this?
No, I think I picked a great time to be on vacation. This is not my kind of a market at all. And, I noticed while I was on the road, we did take out the 2-week high, and that's kind of the way I measure the trends. So, I mean, and my question, are we going to go back down there to 3,000 and have this great big giant W, or are we going to go up and make contract highs? And I've got to lean. I've got to lean that contract highs is probably more likely. But the problem I have with the market now, even if we double, we're at 11,000. If we go to 22,000, that's only a doubling in price, and we've already done that. I mean, I kind of made my bones already. From the move from 3,500 up to 12,000, and what I noticed about Willy, like this new thing that Willy came up with, is how beautifully that fit in with the basis. And that's what I see. I mean, I just see a new paradigm happening in Bitcoin because it's becoming a more mature market. And in fact, I'm going to try and do an article on, hedging your HODL, because it's something that people really need to know and understand.
All right. Let's move over to the technical chart, and I'll throw my charts on there first, and I'd love to get Venzen's take. But you mentioned the question that someone asked in the live chat back when you and I did this episode, after the price of Bitcoin fell really quickly, as it was falling really quickly from 13,000 down to 9. You and I were both nervous that this could send this thing down big time just because of speculation. The ability to hold this $10,000 area is now, for me, making this pretty unlikely. Like, to me, this really needs to happen before the halving, and it looks like we are holding higher prices. So, like I said the other day, I'm becoming a bull above this $11,000 area. I mean, we had a big enough pullback. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it can go down further, but the pullback was certainly big enough. And this is the weekly chart, but with the TD signal, which is what I use to trade, I need a higher high. So today is Wednesday, so I would need a higher high next week to activate the bullish trade on a weekly scale. The daily scale is coming up on a 9 to potentially tomorrow. It would be nice to have that 9 be perfected. That means it needs to break yesterday's high. We need to get above 12,325 at some point tomorrow, creating another 9. That could cause a pullback. And if that does cause a pullback, I'll be looking for 1 to 4 candle pullback, potentially back to the $11,000 area and the 50 period moving average on the daily chart. That's kind of my weekly and daily outlook. Venzen, you want to jump in here and tell us your thoughts?
Tone, that's great. I think the same as you're saying. I mean, you're anticipating it with a TD that if the next is a 9, right, and in the daily chart. So tomorrow, while we've been talking, price went up from about 11,700 to we're above 12,000 now.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
So,
when we started the show, it was around 11.7. Now we've broken 12. Wow.
Oh, and you've got the same trend line as me there. Yeah. So this trend line, if you don't have to adjust it. I sent you a chart with an adjustment of this trend line at the top. The decline trend line at the top. It can be adjusted but never mind you doing it. On my chart, it shows then we're just heading for exactly 12,300, which is the number you mentioned just now. So that price level, is that the size of my chart?
No, my bad. That was my bad.
Yeah. I think you'll have to down. Oh, yeah. So the green trend lines, you've got something similar. I just kind of rough and readied that top trend line, and you can see that we're testing it for the second time, and that is 12,300, the figure you just mentioned. So I think there's a chance tomorrow we hit it and go down to the 50 moving average. Why? Because in the one-day chart with the simple moving averages, there's a whatchamacallit, a golden cross. And so we would expect price to go into that golden cross and then advance again. That's as much as we can say for the next day or two. According to those trend lines we might head for the bottom of it again. Although that would seem very cynical if the market goes all the way back down. That's going to take a lot of wind out the sails, eh?
Yeah, I'm with you, but we just pulled back from 12,345 right down to this moving average on a 4-hour chart at 11,002. Now, this area of 11,002, somewhere between 11,000 and 11,200 was my breakout area. That's where I was becoming a bull. Once we break that zone, I think I had it drawn. Here it is, perfectly drawn on a 12-hour chart. I had this line set at 11,000. Breaking this $11,000 line makes me bullish into the prior swing high. Breaking the prior swing high, which I would fully anticipate that we will, because I don't believe in double tops. Like, once this double top came, I was already anticipating this to be broken if we ever even come close to its vicinity. And we just reset the TD on the 12-hour chart. So another good candle to later today, resets this count for a new uptrend. Now, with the daily, I'm still potentially looking for one more pullback. But at this point, my view has always been, if we can break 11,000, see, here's the thing. This is where it becomes very difficult to explain to new traders. You have to take the bullish trade upon the break of 11,000 because you don't want to miss out on a giant candle like this. But it means nothing unless the candle can hold and stay above 11,000. And I still don't know how to properly explain it to people, where you become a bull at the breakout, but if it doesn't hold it, you gotta immediately dump that trade. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't want to anticipate the move that it will break out. You want to get in after the breakout, and I think there's an aspect of FOMO in that people want to trade the manifestation of the candle, but you got to wait for the candle to close, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the candle to close to stay to confirm the fact that you made the right decision of trading said candle when it was breaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to take the trade upon the break of 11,000, but unless it closes up there, you have to be very, very careful with that trade. Once it closes up there, then your swing trade is good to go. But just because you took the trade above 11,000 and it immediately dropped lower, you got to get out of that trade and then try again, like a few days later if it breaks it again.
Yeah. You're laughing ugly. How are you doing? Tell us about it. Tell us.
I don't like this kind of market. I mean, I just don't. So, I mean, when we took out the 2-week high, which is exactly where Tone has his breakout, I said, yep, you buy it there. But you know what? I'm not a breakout buyer for that very reason, because if you are a breakout buyer, you've got to be right on it and you got to be quick to get out. So I do try and position myself in anticipation that we are going to break out. Now, I actually went short when we took out the previous week's highs and recommended that people do that, but only because the risk was low. It was a very, very limited risk, and I lost a lot. I think I've lost the last 3 trades I've done, but it was and you could have bought the breakout if it wasn't on vacation. Maybe I'd have just to establish a position when it went to, I think, about 11,400, then that turns everything around. I mean, everything. But what's in the back of my mind, we normally have a big break in July or August. Now, maybe we had that the first part of July. Maybe that I guess that 7 candle is it. But because we went to a great big contango, and it was pretty obvious we were going to get a sell-off, and maybe that was enough, and we hit maybe Tone's minimum amount of sell-off. But it's still, my problem is I've been on every bad end of exchange risk, and I had this big fear in the back of my mind that, there's a shoe about ready to drop not on Bitcoin, but on some of these exchanges and some of the altcoins. And if that happens, that's just in the back. I mean, I'm not trading. I'm trading little tiny positions and just kind of having fun, because this is not, to me, a market that I want to be. I mean, I'm holding my hodl, but I'm not looking to take a very large speculative position. Not because I don't think it's going. I think it's most likely we're going up. Most likely, I mean, we're gonna hit this next wave, which fundamentally is going to, there's going to be new entrepreneurs. In my mind, this new market's going to be made from new entrepreneurs learning about Bitcoin, and they're learning it every day. And that's a very strong fundamental behind this thing. I mean, we got to teach people to get on the Bitcoin standard. You just got to start thinking Bitcoin, or you're not going to make it.
Yeah, no, thanks for your thoughts, Ugly. And this does bring a question up for Willy that we had in the live chat. Before I ask that question, I'm just going to mention, Ugly and I have a very different trading style. He likes to short the 2-week low, and I like to go long the 2-week low. And there's nothing wrong with having completely different trading styles, as long as you are consistent with your trading style and you're not randomly, oh, today I'm going to go long on a 2-week break, and then like next time I'm going to go short. as long as you are consistent, as long as you understand your risk and reward parameters, as long as you have a structure, both of those systems can make money, even though we're taking on completely opposite trades.
Oh, Tom, let me throw in one more little clarification, because somebody told me about this, that I recommended, and he had you attached and everybody else attached, that we're telling people to go net short, you know, and hey, I have never told anybody to go short Bitcoin ever. You stay long, but do you hedge? Yes. In fact, you're silly if you don't learn how to hedge and how to protect yourself from the price swings. And it can be done, and you know, because I've done it, and other people do it very successfully. And the difference is, the whole it doesn't matter what you do. The whole thing is centered around how you manage the funds. And the reason that, you know, Tyler Jenks was so great is because I knew that he had money management built into his system. The reason that I know that you're a successful trader, Tone, is because I know money management is built into your system. Same thing with Venzen. Every one of you, and I don't know you, Willie, it's really nice to meet you, but I'm sure every successful trader I've seen, if they don't preach it, I preach it more than anybody else, but they already have it built into their system. Because if you don't have that, one bad trade, one can just wipe you out.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, I gotta send you my video of the webinar that I did on position sizing, risk, and money management. All right, Willie, so this is the question for you on something Ugly just said. Like, what makes you nervous? Like, any exchanges might go down. What about Tether? Let's say Tether just, the loss of confidence in Tether, or the New York Attorney General just arrests everyone connected to Tether and Bitfinex. Lots of people are moving their money out of BitMax because they're getting nervous. Does anything scare you on the exchange side, and what might that do to the price?
Yeah, I'm more concerned about counterparty risk, having your funds on there right now. If you're trading, BitMax is the most liquid by a long shot, and well, now we're seeing scares along that line. It's unregulated exchange. You can see the Attorney General going after tethers, the whole Bitfinex tether. It's one company now. I think that the US has a very long reach, and I think that that's a lot of funds that's sitting there, and they're pretty much the only super liquid exchange. So to me, that's a lot of risk for the traders. I don't see long-term risk in terms of holding Bitcoin. I think the influx of money coming in wanting exposure to this asset classes is somewhat huge. I think it's a bucket pouring into a tiny little cup, and I don't think anything's going to stop this bull train, not till it's completed the cycle. We might have, like, if we have an exchange go down, like, that'll add some volatility, but I can't see it ending this bull run. And it worries me. It worries me exchanges going down. It worries me that quant funds now have so much price dominance. So, we can expect some very large volatility and huge price drives down and up, which I think it's very dangerous for new traders. I think that even seasoned traders, it's very, very kind of murky trading right now, and it's going to get harder. And I've been saying to people, like, sure, learn to trade to learn how finance markets work, but learn as much as you can for the minimum that you're going to lose, because this is going to be your education. I don't like to see coins being accumulated by the big whales. I think that the ecosystem's stronger the more people that hold it, and I don't like to see concentrations of wealth in this coin at this stage. So yeah. Those are my key concerns: the concentration of wealth, the exchange, counterparty risk, and the price dominance of quants.
Thanks for those views, Willy. And I did want to pull up the 3-day chart. I saw somebody mention it in the live chat, and we bounced right off this 9 here. People seem to love the 3-day chart with sequential. People also love sequential on the Heikin-Ashi charts, which I am personally not familiar with. I don't know if Venzen has an opinion on Heikin-Ashi charts, but more and more new traders, like one generation younger than us, are starting to use Heikin-Ashi charts more so than the traditional charts, especially on longer time frames for a lot of their TA and analytics. But yeah, right here we bounced right off of this 9 on a 3-day, and beautiful reversal. And this certainly looks like it's ready to go higher. It just has its own setup trend line that it needs to break at $13,200 area. Just wanted to pull that up. All right, so quick word on I think we talked about Bitcoin enough. A quick word on altcoins. Like many altcoins are hitting weekly 9s because they've been in such declines against Bitcoin. I put together one of these charts recently. This is basically our current year. Bitcoin is up over 200%, and the 7 of the other very popular altcoins are all in negative territory versus Bitcoin for the year. This explains the rise in Bitcoin's dominance. We have Ethereum dropping to new 3-year lows. Like the last time Ethereum was this low against Bitcoin, we're talking March of 2017, maybe not 3-year lows, but a good 2 years and change. And Litecoin as well, it just had its halving, and I think Litecoin is in serious trouble. It's approaching same thing, like the April of 2017 lows against Bitcoin, and I think it's in a lot of trouble. What is your view on the altcoin side? They could be due for a short-term bounce, but I think Bitcoin dominance will continue to rise.
Yeah, I agree. I've been looking at the Litecoin. I've been actually shorting Litecoin post the halvening because that tends to be the pattern. There's actually a fractal pattern. You can look back on the Litecoin. Litecoin dropped up after the last halvening, and you can see if you go a bit left of that chart, Tone, you can see it did this big dive down. I think that's repeating right now before we see any kind of bounce.
Yeah, it would be useful to see the left-hand side of that chart, because looking for support at the previous, you've got it drawn in there. It's below the support. There's the next one below. I think Ugly is going to be able to talk about that, because you're looking at these charts. I've not looked at Litecoin throughout all of this in terms of looking for a trade or anything. What I do keep an eye on is Ethereum, because I can trade Ethereum with Bitcoin on the BitMEX exchange. Yeah. And Ethereum is just not putting in the distance that it used to. It used to be more profitable than Bitcoin to trade Ethereum, just because it would, on a sort of a day-to-day basis, put in larger moves in sympathy with Bitcoin. But that correlation seems to have broken. And right now, even though Bitcoin is less profitable to trade to the upside using leverage, Bitcoin's making more money than Ethereum. Yeah, day to day. If you open equal size positions, you go ahead, Ugly.
Yeah, I did as well, being short Ethereum. As a long Bitcoin this last year. I mean, unfortunately, I had a nice short position just before it broke, and just for money management reasons, I got out and missed this last move. But I think what I'm looking at is a complete paradigm shift. And it was Tone that taught me about, because when I got into this thing, I had all kinds of shit coins and lost them on Big Jim or Big Mike or Big Vern. I lost my little share of coins there. But it took a long time for this to develop and to kick in, because we had some real strong fundamentalists. Who was it that wrote all the great articles about, hey, this Ethereum thing's you're really no good, but it just kept going up and up and up. Yeah, and so finally, now that we're here, it's really hard to believe that it's happening, but it is happening. And I think that's the other thing why there's a paradigm shift going on in Bitcoin. When I first got in to really trading Bitcoin, there was huge backwardization, particularly on the Chinese exchanges below the spot market, and all the amateur traders thought, well, that's bearish, that means Bitcoin's going down. Well, it's not. It's very bullish, because it means, I think, like Willy outlined it perfectly, there's no commercial selling there. There was no reason to do it. I noticed in this last move, when we went up, from 11 to 14,000, we went into a big contango where I think we're as much as $500, $600, maybe $700 over spot, and then very quickly, when we had that drop, it went very quickly into a backwardization, but it was just for a few hours, and boom, it's right back. So I think what's happening is Bitcoin's becoming mature, and so the fundamentalists who I respect, and Tone is one of them, said all along, hey, we're going to regain Bitcoin dominance all the way back to 90% or more. And that's going to change. People are starting to wake up to this. I mean, they're starting to wake up, that shit coins are what they are. And that's going to have, it's going to have a fundamental effect on markets change. They just do. And this thing's growing up. And so, it's not going to be like it's been. And that's that backwardization that we had was just, to me, it was just a weird phenomenon. It doesn't happen, and it was wrong. But now it's starting to look, this is the way a market should act. It's starting to grow up, and that's why I'm looking at it.
Yes. Go ahead, Willy.
Okay.
Go ahead, Willy.
I was just going to agree with that. I was having a conversation with some of the guys, another hedge fund going, and I said, please, I am so bearish on altcoins in this cycle. Can you give me a reason why I should be bullish? And the reason for that was that, the reason why 2017 was just a crazy run up in shitcoins was that Bitcoin was under warfare, right? We had those scaling wars, and you could see as those blocks started to fill up with a lot of it had not been resolved, and the blocks filled up. What we saw was the fees in the mempool moon, and at that point, I've got a chart I published as an infographic, and it just went ape shit. The market caps of all of these altcoins went crazy to the moon, and they fed on themselves. You had all these utility tokens come up, like applications, you issuing tokens masquerading as another network, but they were just pretty much worthless if you run the economic fundamentals on them. You can calculate the stuff, and they aren't worth much. But there's a new market, and you issue these tokens. The ICO teams were reinvesting that in ETH and actually deploying in more ICO. So you had bubbles feeding on bubbles on bubbles, and that ran up the entire altcoin market, and it was unprecedented. Meanwhile, Bitcoin quietly gets out of its scaling wars. Innovation happens. We're seeing efficient use of block space, SegWit adoption, and then more importantly, in this cycle, we've had custodian solutions, we've had regulatory progress, we've had TD Ameritrade saying you can buy Bitcoins through your stock brokerage. So we're seeing the pathways for the very large macro and the retail guys getting in. The institutional guys can get in. They can deploy their billions into the only liquidity pool that is large enough to take that money, and that is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin starts to become this black hole to suck all those funds. And And you know, the only unknown that came up in that conversation is we don't know what's happening in Asian markets because, well, we don't know that, and they traditionally like shitcoins. But as it's played out, that there doesn't seem to be enough money that's holding up altcoins, and it's, if anything, it's just the network effects of that liquidity and Bitcoin sucking in all the capital. And like, I have that analogy of Facebook, Bebo, MySpace. In the early days, you didn't know who would win. You know, like MySpace had the early advantage. Facebook came along. They all looked very promising. And at one point, the first platform that gets a sizable hockey stick starts to dominate. And in our world, that's Bitcoin. Ethereum gave it a close run when there was that close on flipping event, but now it's pretty clear. And you know, in the social media world, social network world, you know, where is like MySpace or Bebo today? You know, they're a shadow. And I really think that that's how network effects play out. And I'm not sure about the argument of having, you know, tens of thousands of altcoins all doing marvelous different things, because ultimately these things right now, the only value that's driven into them is store of value. We pack money to store as asset classes. If we were to build the world supercomputer and actually get that right, I think that's just marketing. Like, doesn't mean that you'll generate value in the token. You still have to build those liquidity pools and be on the exchanges and in the wallets, and have people conditioned to trust that these assets will hold their value like gold did for 6,500 years.
So you mentioned that, and that's really useful. That's a really useful analogy, because I want to link it with what you and Ugly were saying about the shit coins. In the days when I was trading Forex, right, you had the situation where, as a trader, you eventually realize that the Forex market is completely controlled and rigged in a way, because only certain banks make market for a national currency. They see the big orders coming in, orders, not market orders. You know, a hedge fund might call Deutsche Bank and say, today we want so many million or so many billion worth of euro. And the trader on the floor at Deutsche Bank, he knows that order is coming in, it needs to be executed at 3 o'clock. So as a Forex trader, if you're not on top of the information, you end up being in the washing machine. And I think a lot of people in the shitcoin world are averse to that kind of risk and that kind of stress. And as you say, Willy, gold is a much better asset to trade, because you're getting bigger price moves, you're getting a more slowly developing market that is kind of predictable by social mood. And this is exactly the case with Bitcoin versus the shitcoins. And that's why Tyler, peace be upon him, was saying, until the shitcoins are washed out, we're not going to see the Bitcoin dominance. And this is what both you and Ugly are saying in the last few minutes. Let's consider that from a speculative point of view, because speculation is going to happen, right? Speculation has got waves. And I think what we're discussing here is we're making up our minds and our visions, and they all overlap. They're all similar, in fact, that the shitcoins are eventually not that interesting, speculatively and technically. And the larger players are realizing that Bitcoin is where it's at, and that's how the market cap's coming back and the dominance. But I don't think it's going to be a one-off event. I think the pendulum will swing, in that we'll have waves of people passing back into whatever shitcoin looks promising next. You know, like when Tron was going to enter the gaming world and provide a cryptocurrency there, and that looked so promising or so daunting, because the gaming world is bigger than the movie world, you know, in terms of market cap. So it looked like Tron, and I was like, how can this happen, man? I better wrap my head around this, that if these shit coins are going to activate, I better start trading them. I better advise about them. And as we see now, Tron did not make a dent. It was all that promise. It was all going to be all of that, and all the big gaming companies going to be on board, but it all ended up being hot air. So what we're left with is these waves of moving between Bitcoin and the shit coins. And I don't think that is ending here today or in this time that we're talking, these months, but that we'll see this kind of Bitcoin dominance come back over a period of years. That being based on tones, is it pi time sequence tone from Armstrong?
Yeah,
and my Fibonacci time sequence. I think that shows us that there's still some water got to flow in the dam, right?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for what happens around October 5th. And if we keep going up, I'll be looking for October 5th to potentially mark some kind of a top.
Right. Sounds right.
I'd say you mentioned something about like the technically uninteresting. I would disagree with that. I think some of the projects are technically interesting, but in terms of investment, they're not that interesting in that you may have the most interesting technology in the world, but unless you're proven to investors that this thing's going to go up because of that technology, well, you just have to prove it's going to go up, and it's like what they need to know is, can I put my money into it? Yes.
Tyler wrote that great piece on the debt crisis, and in my estimation, that is the overriding fundamental. And the overriding fundamental is that we still are awash in a paper tsunami and an entitlement society. And all of this is going to have to come out. So, and so I don't think, I really am persuaded that the new standard will emerge, because all this, this Bitcoin standard will solve all of these other problems. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to understand this. And, we're going to have to become more sophisticated in the things that we do. But I'm also, one of my mentors is E.C. Harwood. And, basically he solved the money supply problem. The market can take care of the money supply through self-liquidating commercial paper. And that was one area where he substantially differed from Milton Friedman, who was a monetarist who, wanted to increase the money supply at a certain rate. And even F.A. Hayek, who wanted free market banking, but didn't define, well, who's going to regulate it, and that kind of a thing. Whereas commercial paper regulates the money supply, and it's actually can we pull that off? Well, I think we can. They did it back at the turn of the century, and that's what was adopted by the Federal Reserve.
Hey guys, we may or may not have lost Willy because his camera went out. But like before, we would do have
still
to
here.
Oh yeah, great. I did want to mention the Bali event that all of us are going to. There will be more notable. I don't even like. There's really no speakers at this event. It's really more of a collaboration event, and I did anticipate the price of Bitcoin to kind of be a little bit lower than it is now. So we may. The price tag remains 1 Bitcoin for now, but if Bitcoin skyrockets to the upside, maybe we will have to, convert this into dollars. It's really hard to denominate in Bitcoin once the prices start to go higher because it is volatile at high denominations. But this is a very high-end resort in Bali. Ugly, you're coming. Venzen, Willy. We have Socrates coming as well. I'm in touch with several other traders. Hopefully they will come as well. And it's going to be a great event. This is basically the expansion and the evolution of what myself, Willy, and Venzen have now done. I think we did it once or twice already. I don't even remember anymore because time flies. Did it twice, right?
Yeah, Cryptopia was the last and the first one. Remember, we were getting new clothes for you.
Right,
You lost your
we did.
clothes, the tailor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Utopia. Yeah. The first time was in Phuket. The second time was in Phangan. And now we're going to Bali, and we are opening it up to the general public. And I really want this to be an event for the future where there isn't as much education as there is collaboration between professional traders and funds that can utilize that trader's skills. So please check it out. We are adding more stuff. You get all of my webinars with registration and Leah's as well, and Tyler's. So I've been in touch with Leah and Socrates. We will be giving you Tyler's webinars as well if you register or come to this event. We want people to be as prepared as traders as much as possible so that we can all collaborate and work together on some really neat ideas. It'll be a really fun event. 50% of profit, if the event is profitable, will go in some form to Tyler Jenks, the late Tyler Jenks. We want to build out a library of all his, financial knowledge. Socrates has been diving into that. We wish we had more time to spend with him. So yeah, looking forward to it. I don't think, Ugly, have you been to Asia yet?
A long time ago, I was in, actually, we went to the Olympics in Korea. The goat lady and I went to Korea for the Olympics. So that was the last time I was there. And I was back in Hong Kong way back when, and maybe 1970s or 80s, the late 80s, I think about 1980, I was in Hong Kong. But yeah, I was, the most recent time I was there was for the Winter Olympics. So that was fun.
Very cool. Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to. I'm committed now.
Yep. Yeah. Ugly and the Goat Lady are definitely coming, and we'll we'll try to get some more really good, knowledgeable people to make sure that anyone that pays and goes will walk away very, very happy with how they spend their week in Bali. Hey, I want to do a quick word on the traditional markets as well. This will be a somewhat short section because we are running out of time. Gold's been skyrocketing to the upside. I believe one of you guys, Venzen or Ugly, mentioned it. Really took off this week. According to the rules of sequential, the buying opportunity was Monday. Once the green 2 started trading above that green 1, above the 9, it's looking really good. I don't really pay attention to the 50% Fibonacci line. It's there to be broken. And now I'm eyeing the next level just under 1600. Any thoughts on gold, guys?
It's the only competition that Bitcoin has, in my opinion, and governments can legitimately compete with Bitcoin if they adopt the gold standard, because it will bring back their credibility of their money. So yeah, I do see that as a real potential. I would caution, August is the month that the refineries shut down, and normally you buy it in August. And now the question is, obviously it looks like you bought it August 1st, but the seasonal trade in gold is you buy in August when those refineries are shut down, and they shut down August 1. And so, and they're shut down for 2 weeks. So I'm a little bit nervous because almost every time in the past, the market breaks during August, and this time it already had the break, and so it's a very contra-seasonal breakout, which those are the best ones. If you trade it a long time, you know that the breakout that comes when it's not supposed to is the best one you're ever going to get. So it looks very legitimate.
Hey, Ugly, one of these days I'll have you on the show and we'll just do a little debate, because I don't think gold is competition to Bitcoin. I really don't. I think the amount of people that actually care if your government currency is actually hard money or not is so small that it's basically irrelevant. I think the best way for governments to compete with Bitcoin is to eliminate money laundering laws, not eliminate inflation.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying it's the only, and I don't think it is. I've got to qualify that. I don't think it's going to win, but I think it's the only way that the governments are going to get credibility back to their own fiat currencies. As far as hopefully we've learned that lesson, and Bitcoin's going to go its own way and just continue to, in the long run, be the store of value and safe haven, and the standard that we are going to live by, because it in that sense it will replace gold, but it is a way that these governments can get their credibility back, and in that sense, I see the three biggest hedges right now for what's going on with the currency crisis is the stock market, gold, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin being number one, the stock market probably number two, maybe gold number two, that they can switch on and off, but in number one by far is Bitcoin.
Yeah, and a quick word on the stock market. After a really disastrous day on Monday, we had a really good day yesterday, and we're pulling back a little today. So this week is going to be very, very critical. Here is the weekly chart here in the morning. If this candle ends up with a bigger shadow, if this is a bullish candle, it doesn't have to be a green candle. I just need this shadow at the bottom to be longer than the body. I would be somewhat optimistic going into next week. If the candle closes as it is right now, I will not be very optimistic into next week. So this is a major critical weekly point in the S&P. Venzen, your thoughts on the stock market?
I was just gone there for a while, guys. So thoughts in the stock market, this looks to me like a correction and not the doomsday crash. It bounced from here and carry on to a new high. There's nothing else I can say.
All right, and I just want to point to one stock. I know I've been looking at Budweiser hitting this 9 right at the high and pulling back quite nicely. The only other stock I just did a quick glance through this morning, Amazon is hitting a 9 buy. This will, if this doesn't come up in our notification service yet this morning, it will, because we're doing it manually. That's going to become automated. And it's bouncing right off the 200-day moving average. So this is either going to be a nice reversal in Amazon into this death cross, or we break this moving average with a red 2 going below red 1 by end of this week, creating significant more selling pressure for Amazon and turning it into Netflix. I said a couple of days ago that this double bottom in Netflix was bothering me very much. This 9 needed to reverse us past this moving average, go beyond the 1 to 4 candle correction. Otherwise, you're accelerating into the countdown phase. So the Netflix trade turned out exactly as expected.
You're sitting on a very, not just looking technically on the daily. I'm looking at the S&P 500, but the Amazon chart looks pretty similar. It's a huge bullish divergence happening there on the RSI, daily RSI, going back to June. So I think this thing's going to bounce up quite significantly.
Wait a minute, on a daily scale?
I'm looking at the daily chart, S&P 500. Maybe is that you on them? Yeah, yep. And when you pull up the RSI.
I don't see that. That is the RSI on the futures of the S&P, not the cash market. So maybe I'll take a look. But the futures market is not showing divergence versus. To me,
it's got a higher high on the price and a lower low on the RSI, which is a hidden bullish divergence.
Oh, you mean divergence?
Yeah, like a reverse divergence.
Yeah, that's and that's a big gap. That's on the daily since June.
Right. So wait, are we talking about the lows in the price or the highs in the price?
The lows. So we've got a higher low, and then the indicators showing a lower low on the oscillator, the RSI.
Right.
That's
divergence. I believe that is known as a hidden divergence.
Yes,
I believe that's the proper TA term. I personally don't. I don't like to trade those. I personally ignore hidden divergence. I prefer to only look for divergence. This is why it took me a little while to spot this. To me, this is not a signal of reversal, but that's me not trusting the hidden divergence signal for trading. I don't know what's Venzen's thoughts on this.
Tone, I wouldn't trade it either, but I would use it. I would use it as a confidence, as one of the confidence stack pillars. You know, to say, okay, there's a hidden divergence to the downside.
Oh, lost your audio, Venzen. Not sure why. Maybe it was me. Willy, can you say something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear Willy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So to me, I don't trust hidden divergence to tell me one way or another. That's just not something as part of my trading tool set. But that's me.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The sound wouldn't be as good quality. There's going to be some crackling. What I was saying, Tone, is I agree. I wouldn't trade a hidden divergence. I would just add it to the confidence stack, you know, to say that, well, there's a hidden divergence that requires a reaction to the upside and probably a new low. I'm sorry, a new high. And then I'd look for a signal to the upside and target higher, you know? Yeah, that's how I use that.
Yeah. So look, guys, there is a lot of stocks hitting 9 buying opportunities. Now, you can see it in Facebook as well. It's on a 9 today. Microsoft should have a 9 tomorrow. AMD, oh no, Microsoft in a couple of days. AMD will have it tomorrow. NVIDIA will have it tomorrow. So lots and lots of stocks that topped on 9s are now coming up on 9s at the bottom. That doesn't necessarily mean that the market is ready to bounce, but I will take that bet. Like, this is a low risk buy, high risk sell right now. But if those 9s do what Netflix did, if they only correct for a couple of candles and start to show selling pressure, then this could turn into a much uglier correction in the S&P. And for me, as long as the S&P correction does not go below the last swing low, which was at 2750 back in June, as long as S&P prices stay above this low, I'm not concerned for a big market crash. But right now, there are buying opportunities in U.S. stocks based on sequential. Those buys could turn into, significant reversals to the upside. They could only be short-term dead cat bounces, or, they could consolidate and then go lower. So this is
put up the daily. Sean, can you put up the daily on the S&P?
Yeah, here's the futures daily.
Okay, a little bit, because I noticed on some of those stocks that you had, you've got, this is something that I don't know if you guys are aware of or not, but when you have those 3 trading days and you have that gap down, if it reverses and leaves those 3 isolated, that's an extremely bullish situation. Because all we've really done, particularly in the futures, is we're stopping out all the weekends. And so this thing, well, yeah, that's when I was looking at this Amazon. If you have these 3 isolated days and now you reverse tomorrow, that's it. It's going up.
Yeah, and this
you have to do that. You can take the risk if you want to jump in there today and buy it. You just put a stop below the lows down there, and it should.
You would do that if it was BitMEX, but you probably don't need to do it on the stock exchange.
Yeah, here's a chart of Ford. We held this setup trend line that's been around. This is the daily chart. It's been around since April. This was a pretty big drop here. Again, look at the last time there was this weird 9 buying opportunity.
Yeah, remember that 9 is when my wife, when the goat lady bought her F-150, and then we bought the 18 passenger bus after that. That created that last bottom.
You buying any more Fords?
I'm out of the market now, fellas.
Yeah, so again, I would like to take this. This is again a pretty low risk play here. It may not go to Ford may not go to $100 a share, but it creates a low risk buying opportunity. Again, this is what that webinar was all about, how to properly, enter these trades so that the worst mistake you can make will not blow up your account.
Yeah, and you've got those 2 days isolated down there. That thing could kick right back up.
Yeah,
So,
I think AGN is another one I wanted to mention. I was kind of bullish off of this 9 with earnings coming up. This has now not materialized into a bullish trade, and we have just had a red 2 going below a red 1 for the second time, probably because I don't have all the numbers up. This has now gone slightly lower than that 9, and now based on sequential, I am looking for more downside here. And so this is how you recognize whether a 9 is going to be a reversal 9 or a continuation 9 to the downside. This was a full-blown reversal 9 as it kept going lower. This 9 did not reverse your price. If you took the bullish trade off of this 9, hopefully you got out break even, or you got tired of this trade. It didn't lose you any money. But now I am pretty confident that this has a little more downside, and the overall market, if it keeps going down, this is one of the stocks that could just go down and close the gap. Now, earnings, I believe, happened. You want to double check on that to make sure. And now you're good to go. Earnings did not bounce it up. And so this is basically how you trade sequential. And last one is Titan. Titan continues to go down. It is now down 25% since what I referred to as the short of the decade, because it was a 9 on a daily. It was a 9.13 at the high on the weekly in that same week, which was also a 9.13 on a monthly, and the month turned out to be so bad that the 9 ended up flipping over on a monthly chart to a red 1. And this is, of course, on the Indian stock market. So very few took the trade, but I know some people that did because they're in India. All right, guys. I think it's good to leave it here. Once again, we were joined. I got to get Ugly's website up. So uglyoldgoat.com, who has a cruise coming up, the Working Man's Cruise. It's so sad that Tyler will not be participating. Like, Tyler was looking forward to all these events. He was looking forward to travel. He was starting to travel again. And it was going to be awesome. He was going to come to your cruise. He was going
to do the 10. We did a whole interview on that. He was going to introduce his new 10 columns or 10 pillars of Bitcoin from 5. And Socrates is replacing him. I haven't updated the website yet because I'm on vacation. And then I had other bad news. I just got notified by Max Hillebrand. He's not going to be able to make it. So I am looking for some other features. I still have maybe one Bitcoin developer that might be coming, and I've invited some other people that hopefully. I'm going to make sure the content is there. It's limited to 60 people, including the speakers. So.
People don't really realize how difficult it is to put on these events, and how time-consuming they are, how financially risky they are, and the more exotic they are, the more challenging it is. And I've been dealing with this now, and we'll see how Bali works out. But yeah, and also you have a newsletter, and there is a link, another affiliate link for Ugly's newsletter, where he has a very good trading record, which you can also read about on his newsletter section of his website. We were also joined by Willy Woo of woobull.com. Check out his charts, check out his articles. He is working, I guess you're an advisor to an investor in LVL Exchange. And check that out as well. Unlimited trading for $9 a month. Again, affiliate links in the video description. And Venzen, who runs a trading camp out in Thailand, along with his subscription, and you can find those at cryptocurrents.net. I will update the video description right after we're done to add all of your links into this video description. And of course, I am Tone Vays of tonvays.com and a bunch of conferences. I have one in-person workshop coming up. I am moving to the webinar model. You can get all of my prior webinars on demand. They are all available for those that register and sign up for Bali, along with Lucid Investments webinars. Don't hold me to that yet. It's not official until it's on the website in print, but it really should be sometime later this week. Check out the conferences I'm involved in. Check out, well, the calendar will be updated this week, the affiliate section, and the rest. All right, guys. Oh, and the alert notification service currently on Telegram, going to subscription. Man, I always say I'm doing too much, and then I take on more projects. I don't know how Willy does it. You actually have companies you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, I teach. It's a thing. Yeah, he's not getting to
and let me turn off screen share. I'll let you say your goodbyes. Willy, we'll start with you.
Oh, it's awesome to have the gang again. Pleasure meeting you, ugly old goat.
Yeah, it's nice finding you. It is. You need to explain your NVT to me sometime, because I still don't get it.
Yeah. Let's do that over drinks when we're in Bali. Hey.
Yeah, Bali's going to be absolutely great. I really can't wait. You know, yeah, guys, sign up. It's only open to about 20-25 people, right? Because as I get more and more notable names, I mean, there's only so many rooms that resort has. We only have about like 20 to 25 rooms, and as I get more and more notable traders, I want to fill those rooms up because you know, we prepaid for the rooms. So you got to sign up, or you may not get the chance to last minute.
And it's a beautiful location, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, the goat lady said we're going, so you know that.
She's gonna really enjoy it. I mean, you have like a daily massage that comes with your room. Venzen, any closing thoughts? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I'm looking forward to Bali really a lot. Do you guys remember when we were in Koh Phangan and the three of us were sitting at the pool on the evening we arrived, and eventually there was no more space left, just because the conversations were interesting. People were joining to participate, and we were just, you know, the conversation went all over the place, and all of it relevant to Bitcoin today. So I expect Bali would be like that. And as Willy says, it's a great location. I really encourage people to come. If you can make it, make it. You won't regret it.
I'll try and throw in something special too, Tone. We talk afterwards. Maybe I can throw in a lifetime membership if they sign up.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. All right,
yeah,
guys.
I can say the same. Anybody interested in what we discuss there, and if they are interested in my service, they will certainly be able to join lifetime. Yeah.
Oh, Venzen, you have a. Yeah, you know what? We'll figure that out because it's different. See, Ugly's membership is normally lifetime. Yours is a monthly. Maybe you may want to. We'll see. Yeah. We'll talk.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Might be a year or two of Venzen.
Yeah, well, I listen to you, Tom. Everything you.
I don't want to commit you to lifetime services.
I'll throw in a lifetime membership to my chat site, which is open to all.
We'll think of something. We'll sweeten the deals, guys, because we do want serious people that want to come and spend time with us for a week. And if this event works out, you know, at most, I would love to do this twice a year, once in Asia, once in the Caribbean, and it'll be great this way, because I know it's really hard for people in the US to get to Bali. All right, guys, I'm going to cut the live stream. If any of you want to still chat offline, don't hang up yet. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will try to bring you more traders on these shows. I'll try to coordinate. I'm already making a group with other traders that have never been on my show. So maybe it's time to get other opinions. You know, I think it will be good. I think it's a good evolution for the Trading Bitcoin show, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for watching. Ran a little bit later than we wanted. Wanted to keep it to an hour. Ended up an hour and a half. That's not too bad. And I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.